G'day, mate. What's your name?
Mate? My name's Mick.
Mick what?
Mick Dwyer or Mickey D or, AU or Gary McAllister.
And what do you do, all those names?
Well, I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm a personal trainer. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. That'll do, eh? That's plenty.
Yeah, that'll fill a day. Hello, Andrew Barnett here with another episode of Crowdwork Cast. Now, this should be hitting you on Boxing Day, which means hopefully you've had a great Christmas, you're feeling full of Christmas cheer and joy, and you're ready to enjoy a late Christmas present. And this is my Christmas present to you, which is an episode with a man who, I got a bit of a bromance going on with. His name's Micky D. Apart from being just incredibly good company when you hang out with him, he is also one of the funniest comedians to see live anywhere. The guy's an absolute pro. You can put him in any room, anywhere, anytime, and he's the guy to work it out. So if you get a chance to go see Micky live, I cannot recommend him highly enough. There'll be opportunities to do that coming up in the new year. So he will be at the Adelaide Fringe Festival, I should say. He runs a room there called the Fat Cave, which is a late night room, always a good time. He'll also be at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival in the second 2 weeks of the festival, I believe. But he'll be performing under his alter ego, Gary McAllister, who's a Scottish gentleman. And that has to be seen to be believed. So get along and see Micky. All the details for his shows you can find on his Instagram, Adventure Mick. That's his name on Instagram. Find him there, Mick Dwyer, Adventure Mick on Instagram. If you'd like to find out where I'm going to be, you give me a follow on Facebook and Instagram, Andrew Barnett Comedy. Also on TikTok if you like ticking and talking. And then I'm on Twitter at Mr. A Barnett. So I've got plenty coming up in the new year. I'll let you know more about that later on though. But for now, it's time just to sit back, enjoy the last of Christmas. Here's my little Christmas present to you. It's my episode with my good mate, Micky D. So, of those things, what's obviously father and husband are first. Now, which is first out of those? Like, be honest.
Husband.
Husband.
Yeah, because out the team it all goes to shit. I couldn't tackle the fathering alone. And power to it. Single mums and fathers, fuck. So, yeah, husband first, then father. And then if there's any gaps, your own shit. Remember that?
Oh, I actually was talking to a mate recently. And
you got mates still?
Yeah. Well, he's my cousin, so he's my mate, but also family. But I was talking about, because he's got little kids as well. Mine are getting older now, which is great. But he was talking about, like, he goes, remember when you'd be bored? Like you just have those weekends when you go, nothing to do, it's a bit boring. It's like, what's that like? I remember the last time I was bored was on a cruise ship where it was one of those ones, where you're in the theatre, so you only perform on one of the nights.
And it could be 5 days before you're even anyone.
Well, what happened was I performed the night before we docked in Auckland. And instead of letting me off the boat to fly home, they went, no, you can have the 3 sea days.
There you go.
So I just and there was no, like I was in a guest quarters, nowhere near anyone else, and I just had nothing to do.
It's isolating, isn't it?
Yeah. I remember seeing how many laps I could do of the promenade deck I'd get up, have breakfast, try and do laps of the promenade deck just to get tired enough that I might have a nap to pass some time in the afternoon.
And to mess with any passengers that might be early stage dementia. You go, you just give them a deja vu buzz in the middle of their holiday. You're a bad bloke.
Yeah. Mate, it was, So, comedian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
25 years? When did I start? I'm 43. I started just after my 18th birthday.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
So you started young. See, because I'm only a couple of years younger than you. I'm 41, and I started, I reckon, I was 27.
26 or 27.
So you would have stuff to say though. I still,
Yeah, mate, I would have been horrible if I'd started earlier.
I still am. I still make noises for a living. Mick, you got to write anything? Well, why start?
Mate, you're not. You're actually one of my guys that I'll say, like, you're my throw in any room reliable comic. Like,
Thanks.
that's the. Although you were just telling me about a corporate where I.
Oh, mate, yeah, you can't win them all, but yeah, I pride myself on being able to walk in anywhere because my cousins are hilarious. So I was never the funniest person in my family. I'm still not the funniest person in my house.
Well, you got kids.
Yeah, I know.
They're naturally.
And a Jack Russell, so I'm fucked. Yeah.
But that is something you aimed for though, because there's like obviously there's different approaches. Some people just want to find their audience doing it the way, the way they do it. Sort of let the audience come to them. They're happy to. If you're not on board, you're not on board, and I'll find my audience over time. But that was a conscious thing for you. You wanted to be able to walk in any room.
I think it came out of going to heaps of different schools. It was a survival tactic. How can I befriend everyone as quick as possible to stop me getting the shit kicked out of me by farm girls again? Oh, it was so hard, Barney.
By farm girls?
Now,
Where did you grow up?
Mate, it sounds like a kink, doesn't it? It's
that's a category, I'm sure.
Some people pay big money for that now. No, but left South Australia, moved to country Victoria, and I arrived in Swan Hill, or just outside Swan Hill.
No, I think you're pronouncing that wrong.
Swanhill.
Swanhill?
Arrived in Swanhill, and I was the only one within a 30k radius that hadn't been through puberty.
Oh, jeez. and that included the year 3s, the year 4s.
True. But I still had boobs. How? So it was a hard transition, that one, but going in and I never even really finished primary school. It's primary school. It sounds like a confession. And I never finished primary school.
There you go, kids. It's not that important, schooling.
You just be yourself. So halfway through year 7, which was final year primary school in SA.
Yeah.
First year of primary school in Victoria. So high school Victoria. So I just went.
Just skipped it.
Yeah, just next thing you know, I'm in high school going, oh shit, I'm well out of my depth here, Tony Siggins has got sideburns. I still can't grow sideburns.
Oh, mate, I had that moment on the weekend. I was umpiring my son's cricket, and one of the opposition team had a full beard, and I'm like, "This is under 14s. What are we doing? How's this allowed?"
It's terrifying. Year 7 assembly at my daughter's school. It's like you guys are huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember though playing school sport. I remember playing a game of rugby league. I must have been in year 11, and we'd moved to Newcastle from Corowa, and I got into the rugby league side based on the hockey coach telling the rugby league coach that I was big and I could run.
There you go.
And so he just approached me on the playground and just goes, Andrew, just wondering if you want to come down and have a run with the league side.
Okay.
And I said, I've never really played organised rugby league. He goes, that's all right. I'm told you're big and you can run. So he just put me on the wing. But I remember watching the other side run out. And that classic, how they say dogs, a little dog assumes it's the same size as the big dog. Right. I was sort of the opposite. I was watching these kids run out because I was a bit of a man-child myself. Mm-hmm. And watching the opposition run out, and I was going, geez, these look at that. They look like full-on men. And then one of the other blokes on my side goes, Barney, look at yourself. You're huge. And I just went, oh, okay.
So you're massive.
Well, I've been about this height and, probably within 10 kilos of this since about year 11, yeah?
Whoa. Yeah.
So I was just a man-child. I've always looked I've looked 40 since I was about 16.
There you go. Because it turns out I'm not a big bloke. I'm always carrying about 15 kilo I don't need because I like a snack.
Well, you like to train too.
Yeah.
You see these idiots having to put weight vests on.
Yeah, it's like I'm saving money.
Internal.
But when I trimmed off everything, it's like, oh, fuck, I'm a little bloke.
So you were like a bit of a late puberty, late bloomer kid?
I think 14 and a half, whereas these country kids, 9.
Yeah, well, that's what I'd come up
It's
from.
like, Christ.
I'd come up from the country to Newcastle, and that was, I think, the impression some of them had of me was, who's this unit?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's that's fascinating. But I didn't feel like I was I'd still felt like a little kid.
It was the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't till that kid pointed out, mate, you're bigger than most of the guys that you're looking at. Going, geez, look at these men. I went, oh yeah,
She's got a point.
I'll be all right. So, now 43 years of age.
43 just turned.
Turned, mate. I was looking on the A-list website at your headshot and bio. You look distinctly different.
Bit of a U-turn in the last 18 months, I reckon. Yeah. I just thought, fuck it, I'm gonna get a moe. I'm gonna get the mohawk happening.
Now, look, some would accuse you of a midlife crisis. I'm not that guy.
You're very kind. Because it just screams midlife crisis, doesn't it? But that's the thing. And it's the Wolf, my wife, will hear this podcast and go, you've just lifted my stuff. My wife wrote a real good bit of stuff about a midlife crisis. It's just like, no, it's a refocus. It's like who you're comfortable with who you are. What would you like to do? How would you like to,
Be
present
in the world.
yourself? Yeah. And I always wanted a haircut like this. I got it. And I thought, okay, yeah. All right, I can pull that off.
Oh, I like it. It looks good. It does scream a little to your personality too. You've
but I forget sometimes that I might look a bit like
more intimidating.
Yeah,
than you.
and you have to. What's what you're saying? You realise, fuck, that's right. Like I was the first few shows bringing big energy with a head like this, on the feet dangling over the edge of the stage, going, "You up for it?" And people are like, "Oh Jesus, just settle down." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I look like a thug."
Yeah, that is. I've always said that's hard to know how you're being perceived, and especially with comedy too. Sometimes you don't realise until the way you're doing it's not working. Oh, actually, I've changed something here.
Yeah.
Whether it's your appearance or whatever. That's because for me, I see you with that, and because I knew you, I know you. To me, that screams, oh, this is a guy who thinks it's fun to have a cool haircut.
Let's go and have some fun with it. Yeah,
like it suits the. You're one of these blokes whose inner child is still close to the surface in terms of your approach to.
So I cut him a deal. I said he always wanted this haircut. We gave it a run. I thought, oh God, I guess we could keep that. It's a bit of a piss take. If I can, make a nana smile with a head like this, it's a nice universe,
That's interesting. And back on the midlife crisis things, I was thinking about this today too, because I think that if you get to 40 or whatever age and you're not having some sort of midlife crisis, are you paying attention? Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a reason it's a cliche.
Yeah, because people have finally got around to servicing their needs, or people look at it as it's a bad thing. It's like, well, everything all right, mate? What's going on with your hair? It's like, well, I just want a haircut like this.
Yeah.
And it's, you're allowed to. You can express yourself how you want. And it's such a great era we're in where people can, be themselves.
Yeah.
And encouraged to be themselves.
That's well, before I finish that thought, what I want to do is I've just realised for the audio version of this, we haven't actually described what your current haircut looks like. Do you want to describe to the people on their jog or?
Yeah. G'day, listeners. So I've got about, what would you say, 1.5 inches of mohawk straight out the top of the head, straight down the middle, got a classic kind of runway strip down the middle of the head. Don't know why I'm closing my eyes to describe myself.
Yeah, I know.
I could just look at the screen.
Yeah, we've got a floor monitor.
A lot of people describe, I beat them to the punch and say it looks like I've glued a rat down the middle of my head because it tapers off into a rat's tail at the back. I got a bit of trashy regrowth at the moment that I like. It used to be a blue mohawk. The blue's washed out to like this murky, greeny, shitty, yellowy colour. But that's the thing, when you got like this punky kind of hairdo like this, it just gains momentum with a bit of regrowth. You look like a bit of a trash bag. It's good.
Well, it looks looks like you mean to have it. At this point, you're
Yeah,
like, there's a guy who needs to redo. He's committed to this lifestyle.
Yeah, he's held on to this mistake. Or when I go to re-shave, well, you know you're really committed if you shave the sides of your head down to 0 and then get the foils out.
Oh.
Yeah, I just like the feel of the barber just getting the foil out on the side of your head.
I love the idea that your approach is similar, like, you know, to look young and have the crazy haircut is not that dissimilar to the ladies getting the blue rinse.
Yeah,
so
you have to block out 90 minutes. You have to chat about all the same stuff. You know,
are you up on your magazines?
No, I have a snooze.
Really?
Yeah, they put the foils in, and I am like an anime. It's a bit of, how would you like your haircut, sir? In silence, and then I'll have a bit of a snooze while the colour's dissolving.
Mate, that's you know what it looks like at the moment too is because you've got the blue, you can still see the blue. There's the nice blonde where obviously they peroxide the dark, and then you've got the regrowth at the bottom.
I love the regrowth.
It's like Neapolitan ice cream in a haircut.
It is.
Like you've got. It looks at the moment because the regrowth's really even too. It looks on purpose, but it also screams like that's not. Oh, this isn't a guy who got his haircut for a weekend and hasn't changed it yet. This is a guy who does this. This is part of the cycle.
Or he's a sick, stubborn man. This guy.
Yes.
He just can't let go.
He's a sick, stubborn man who knows who he is, though. That's the main thing. That's the thing. I think I'd probably I don't know. I get the not midlife crisis, but that thing.
Have we agreed all of a sudden it's a midlife crisis?
No. Yes, I think.
I just snuck it in.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Is Micky having a midlife crisis? What are your socials, Micky? Tell people.
Help me. Find me on Adventure Mick, and you can weigh in yourself.
Yeah. But no, but like that I love that decision you made to go. You know what? I always wanted this.
I owe me.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I've done myself a service because occasionally, like during the school pickup, these young kids will look up at you and go, "Oh, awesome haircut," and it's like that's the age I wanted a haircut like this. So it's like, I got there in the end.
Yeah, which is helping you stay in touch with that sense of fun.
Yeah,
which is something that I was going to say when you and I first met. We first sort of hung out together. We did a cruise together.
The carnival spirit.
And which for people who aren't aware, carnival cruises are a bit different to a lot of the other cruises in that you got to have your 5 30-minute sets.
Yep, a lot of material. 2
have to be family friendly, and that is literally anything from 4-year-olds in the front row.
Yeah.
And the way I describe it to comics who haven't done it is the key to that is mostly just saying poo and wee enough while you tell jokes they don't understand to their parents and grandparents who are sitting behind them.
Yeah.
So, but that obviously very intimidating. Like in terms of that was my first carnival cruise. I hadn't done the 2.5 hours, so I was stressed about that. 2, I was coming off. I just had a little holiday in New Zealand with my wife for our 10th wedding anniversary, and then so she flew home to look after the kids and go back to work, and I stayed on in New Zealand, did a couple of gigs there, and then was meeting this cruise ship. I think I flew from New Zealand to we picked up in Noumea.
Yes,
and so. I was like, I'm a massive, like, as much as I make fun of my kids on stage and whatever else, I'm a bit of a softie in that I get, when I'm away from my kids for a long period of time, I really miss them.
Yeah.
Like I can get real sort of sad. And so the combination of all those things going into that cruise was that could have been just a miserable cruise for me. Like in terms of, feeling like you're out of your depth work-wise, feeling like you'd just rather be home with the kids, all that stuff, sort of new experience, which I naturally, not my, like can get a bit set in my ways in terms of like, no, I try and push myself to get out of my comfort zone.
Yep.
But your approach on that cruise was, and it was magic in that your whole outlook was like, no, this is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like
We
it's
forget,
hard.
don't we?
It's hard to do the, 5.5 hours, but don't worry about it. It's fun. The whole job's fun. And you and I had this best routine.
Yes.
And that changed my outlook completely in terms of how to approach all that stuff. I was like, okay, this is supposed to be fun. This is what I was hoping I'd be able to do. Like, do gigs to...
You're leading them because the job's half done on a cruise ship. You just go get in the room with them, because you've had similar experiences all day, right?
Yeah.
Well, not really, because we're training and we're trying to not eat. They're not even plates on a ship.
No.
Here they're platters, and people are still in a rush. And isn't it weird? You get that panic. It's like, well, they're shoveling. Well, I've got to shovel too.
Oh,
maybe the boat's running out,
mate. And that's the thing. Like you see it first day, everyone's loading plates up and stuff. And then you're like, oh, you know what? After you've done a couple of them, you're like, oh, no, this buffet will be here tomorrow as well. Like,
mate, I come off.
It'll be here in 15 minutes if I'm still hungry. It'll be here in an hour if I'm hungry.
And you just scraped all those scraps.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I come off the ship with gout.
What?
Yeah.
You don't even drink.
I
How
know.
did you get gout?
That is what an advert, right? And to add to it, I was eating clean,
Yeah.
clean as you can. So no little carbs, right? What set me off was the preservatives or whatever kind of nasties were in the ham steaks.
The ham steaks.
So
you do like a ham steak.
Oh, mate, I've got a
things.
soft steak. Those rubbery little ham steaks. I'd have 3 poached eggs and 2 ham steaks there because it was just a protein and chewy, and then I've gone, I was still maintaining 70 to 100K a week, even on the ship. So I was in good nick. At the stage, about 7 years off the booze. And I've gone, why is my toe hurt? And I go, I don't remember clipping my toe.
Must have injured it while I was running.
Oh, it's starboard side of the ship. It just snuck up on me. But it was fucking gout. And I'm like, I don't know why there's such a stigma to it. It's just, but yeah.
I maintain gout will always be the only disease you can always make fun of.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
Oh.
I've got a couple of lines with gout, and if you do them in the right, like depends in different room, I always when it gets the laugh, it gets the knowing laugh. You hear it.
And further to that, you can even drop in allopurin, and they go, hey, he knows our meds. I'm like, yeah, I don't know your meds. I had to take a course, the bastards.
For a different reason than most of you, evidently. I remember I did a gig. I did a gig years ago for a council on the Central Coast's outdoor workers.
Oh yes.
So they're the guys that aren't allowed to work indoors.
Yep.
So good. It was a great gig.
And they all had the tan line.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh mate, they all had sunny tan lines. Watched it like the whole thing.
Yes.
But these blokes, I did some gag about, and I made fun of gout, and I made fun of the blood pressure in the room. Anyway, as I'm getting paid at the end, the guy was paying me. He goes, oh mate, that was so good. I tell you, when you were talking about gout, mate, last 2 days I've been laid up in bed. I didn't think I was going to make it to this. As they're bringing out the oysters and prawns, he's got, save me some. Like,
no, mate, no.
You're going right back to where you came from.
These moments from a flare-up. Because you feel it coming on, and you're thinking, now come on, let's unpack the last 12 hours. Have you sustained a sharp kind of thud to that? No, here it is again. Brace yourself, because it just comes on hard. You need to. So listeners, you just need to get it in you quickly. So bicarb.
Bicarb?
Yep. So a pint glass of water.
Yep.
3 teaspoons. Go 4. Just whack 4 teaspoons of bicarb soda in there. Stir it. Neck it. Why neck it? Because it tastes fucking awful. Get it done. You just need to balance out your pH because, high levels of uric acid build up, forms sharp little crystals, and they like little thumb joints, toe joints, and
oh mate,
bit rock and roll this podcast, mate. I'm a 43-year-old talking about gout.
This will bring the young listeners in for sure.
Yeah, keep your minerals up.
Yeah, you've joined the gout treatment hour.
Brought to you by allopurin.
Oh man, so you got gout on a ship? Yeah, because you don't drink. Like that was the other thing I really enjoy. You and I had a really good routine on that ship. But one of the things I enjoyed about hanging out with you was you don't drink at all, but still, you know, we'd go to the crew bar after the gig, and you'd sit and have soda waters, and I'd have a couple of beers, and it was you'd still as social. Like it wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't that.
You got to take it in. I will get the hell out of there if someone's on the turn.
Yep.
Or it gets, which is tricky because my main love out of all the stage stuff is my late show. So we drag out a lot of regulars come from 11 till 1 a.m. You can expect
let's
that kind of
put some context to this late show you've done for years. You do a late show at different festivals.
Yeah,
so where did it start?
It started in Edinburgh in 2004 in the underground city.
Yep.
So there's all these catacombs that were dug out back in the day, and the venue was in a cave. So I called the show Fat Cave.
Fat PHAT.
Yeah. So the Fat Cave. It's been running since 2004.
Wow.
Yeah, and so this year we're at Perth, Adelaide, maybe Melbourne at the festivals. But
Yep.
love
So
it.
you're Adelaide based.
Adelaide based, but you play all over the world. $16 in an Uber to the airport, so I can be anywhere, mate.
Mate, $16 in an Uber to the
No
airport.
tolls.
I think I paid that in tolls just picking you up from the airport
mate.
today.
I got you one of those egg wraps from the Virgin Lounge, though.
Thank you,
Yeah,
mate.
mate.
That's I mean, that I was on the. Had to drive into the city last night, and this first time, they put the e-tags in. You don't really pay attention to your tolls. Well, I don't know if do they have tolls in Adelaide?
No.
Are you serious?
No tolls.
No tolls.
No toll.
How do you call yourself a city if you don't have tolls?
We've got Eckhart Toll. He's touring
really?
his
Good.
new book next year.
we were driving in. We had to drive in through the city, and we were on one of the main on the Eastern Distributor. And it was the first time in ages I've looked up at the sign, and it was like $8 for a car.
What?
But then this is where you won't often have me feel sorry for trucks on Sydney roads. $17,
Oh,
and that's what you'd already paid for.
what if you had to do a U-turn?
Oh,
You're like, there's your hourly rate gone.
yeah. Well, you miss a turn off, and then you have to get off, get back on. Costly errors. Anyway, we are really hitting the middle-aged topics. We've gone from gout to
Gout
tolls.
to tolls. Next up, weather.
Yeah.
Mate, I'd love to talk about the weather. Or trains or transport.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that weird how, like all those things that were cliches you saw from your old man's generation just somehow become more interesting.
Yeah.
Like I've got mates now that, they've got like text chains, like WhatsApp groups about their lawns, like just giving each other lawn tips.
Have a look at
And
this.
it's like, which I kind of like, I'll take a tip. I don't mind a lawn tip, but it's that all that stuff that all of a sudden matters to you that you thought never would.
Because you have more time to ask yourself the question, what would I like? What makes me tick? And, imagine all those times where you smell that freshly cut lawn and you're going to play some cricket. It takes you back.
Oh,
so
yeah.
giving those things a nod. I call it a breakthrough. It sounds like I'm taking myself through therapy. But it felt like a breakthrough today. As the plane's taking off, I've gone, you fucking love this, don't you, mate? I'm like, yeah, I do. I love flying. As the plane's taking off, I've gone, I'm lucky. I get to do this quite a bit. I'm taking off. I'm looking at, look, it's all those little houses. And I sound like I'm, regressing, like I'm a toddler, but re-experiencing that joy in it again, or at least paying respect to the fact it's something you really like.
This is what I was getting at with your approach on that ship. It taught me that, okay, the stuff that a lot of people find annoying or find to be like, oh, this is like, because when we were on that ship too, like passengers will chat to you, like they'll come up and chat to you, and I've been on those with other comics who just like they're not rude or whatever, but you can tell it's not their go. Whereas you, big smile, have a chat, move on, and I was like, oh, you can do that, and it actually becomes a nice interaction. And that was the thing is that you sort of I took from that was you do get to make the choice about how you react to stuff.
All the time, yeah. I liked, and I used to play this game, it'd be see how many times you could make someone go, just kill them with kindness. And, well, not that they even need killing, but it's someone talking to you after a show. And more often than not, you want to make someone feel welcome.
Yeah.
And show them that you're listening. So eye contact and showing that you're interested by, listening, asking a second question. And then I wanted to make sure I've properly engaged with someone. So I'll wait to the third time they say, oh, so we won't keep you. No, I'll see how many of those so I can get out of someone. Oh, you must. No, I'm like, no, tell me more about your job.
They're subtly trying to say, look, we need to go. This comedian bailed
I
us
got
up
stuck
after the
talking
show.
to this comedian. There's 3 cruises in a row.
Mate, I don't mind talking to people, but in my head, I've realised this. I feel like that when they come and see the show and they come up to you afterwards and they tell you, oh, that was really enjoyed that. That was so funny. And then I always feel like there's pressure then to keep making them laugh or whatever. I always feel like there's a countdown clock in my head going. There's a countdown going on until they realise I'm not as interesting as they thought I was.
Let's quick ask them something.
Yeah,
quick, back to you guys. But it's half the job, I reckon.
Yeah,
being there, sure, depending on your style of comedy, sure. But if you want to be, if you want to understand people and get better at what you're doing, you need to be amongst them.
That's actually a really, really good point that I sort of hadn't thought too much of, is those you do take stuff out of that, out of those conversations. I find, you have a realisation, even when you're just talking to someone about their job or whatever, you have a realisation about that. Oh, okay, that's that perspective. And it mightn't be then, but later on that context falls into place and it manifests in a joke that you can make about that perspective, which
the amount of characters I've met and finding these little isms. I've gone, I like the way that person rounds off, that kind of phrase, or they've got this kind of nervous tick, or, he's just, that's how the person reacts to the bar staff, and just seeing all these little kind of bits of magic that's out there,
Have you always been, like, I'm painting a picture, I think we're painting a picture that you're very much a people person. You like to be amongst people. You like to, has that always been the case with you?
I've grown up around lots of people. So mum and dad had pubs.
Okay.
So, So I love being around people, but at the same time, lately I've gone, what I need more of, which is a bit of time myself, and to prioritise that really helps. But I love hearing people's stories. I love hearing about where people are from or where they've travelled. I love getting back to cruising again. I'll sit down and talk with, the old couple, or, the bloke or the lady by themselves, because, they've lived. And you're gonna hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's because my instinct is I'm very much, and my wife talks about this. Actually, my son, as part of a school assignment, had us do personality tests, one of those personality tests, and he was absolutely blown away that I came back an introvert. And he went up and said to my wife, he goes, Dad, it says
He's
Dad's an
rigged it."
introvert. And she's like, yeah, he is. It's like, he goes, you can't be. He's a comedian.
It doesn't work like that.
But
But a lot of us are.
Yeah. And so that's the one thing I think that I find when I do put myself out of my comfort zone and try and actually engage with people, it is always rewarding. It's just that having to remind myself to do it.
I find I have a lot more courage with company. Like you're on the ship with me. I felt more comfortable. We're going to, we've got each other. You can ask that second and third question. Whereas I'm looking forward to going back to anywhere with my son. Get him. I was going to take him to Kenya this January, but flights back to the UK are so expensive. But I've got my little mate who'll be 6 in a couple of weeks. and taking, it was your first cruise, so I took great pleasure in seeing stuff fresh through your eyes.
Yeah.
I've gone, okay, let's go here and see what you think of this. And I've gone, yeah, it is awesome. But so to see that through my son's eyes at the Melbourne Comedy Festival this year, taking him to see his first big city from Adelaide, no tolls.
What was that beep in the
Yeah,
car,
it's
Dad?
like,
Well, that's
oh,
a toll, mate.
Oh, that's
You know what that was? That was
The
$8
city
coming out of someone's
He starts
account.
shaking. I don't like that noise. I'm like, mate, there's 3 more tunnels, and then we'll be at the hotel. But so to see stuff again through fresh eyes, so I think that's what I felt today on the flight. As we're taking off, I've gone, this is pretty awesome, but we take it for granted. Every time I come to Sydney, I want to grab people by the shoulders and go, have a look out the window. We're going over the Harbour Bridge, but it's
Years ago,
commonplace.
I had a job where I was in North Sydney, and I used to catch the train most days, and I tried to when I first started working there, it was like I was like, hey, how good is this? Like the sun would be coming up, depending what time of year it was, as I was going over the harbour, and you just sort of see that early morning going over the Harbour Bridge.
Oh,
And
iconic.
I loved it, but then I started noticing barely anyone was looking up because they're reading, they're doing whatever because it's the regular commute.
That baffled me.
And that was one of the things I tried to really consciously, no matter what I was doing, reading, whatever on the thing, I was like, okay, I don't want to be the guy who doesn't appreciate going across the Harbour Bridge because, like, back to that kid, I grew up in the bush. That was amazing, the Harbour Bridge. We loved crossing the Harbour Bridge. So there is something to keeping in touch with wondering what that kid would think of you now.
Totally. Yeah, it helps you be grateful because it's like, okay, would that little fella be happy how you turned out? Were you true to yourself? So I'm making good on some promises.
I often think about that. Would that get? And I think my teenage self would just be looking, you never really did get
Furious.
fit, did you?
Yeah, you said you're going to play. You said you're going to score 100.
You always said.
You have scored 100 though, haven't you?
No, not in organised cricket.
Well, there you go.
No,
so you owe yourself.
Yes, I do. Mate, I had too big. That's what I realised too. Okay, this is about to turn to middle-aged cricket man.
I'm getting all the food groups, mate.
But because I was playing regularly right up until 19 or 20, and then other things took priority, and I wasn't able to play. I was working, I wasn't available, and so it just sort of went on the back burner. It wasn't till recently that I went back, or that I've gone back and actually playing regularly. And now, like picking it up again at 40 is just like
feels good, doesn't it?
It feels good, but I'm like, oh man, why didn't I? Like, you don't realise that, it feels like there's no urgency in your 20s to make sure you're making the most of it. You're like, oh man, I wish I'd kept going through all this. But
I'd made no runs in my 20s anyway because I was a prick. I just slash at everything. It's like, settle down, mate. Hit one next over.
Mate, I was always junior cricket. I used to, like when we were, underage cricket, I used to open the batting and the bowling for my side, but I used to hate that feel, like you just hate the pressure, like the nervousness I'd get when I was batting. And bowling, I never felt like that.
Bowling, you have more control, didn't you? Yeah.
And so I my old man always said, you're a better batter than you are a bowler. And I was like, nah. Well, the other thing with bowling is if you struggle, you could push that extra effort.
Yep.
Whereas batting, trying too hard will get you in more trouble than it'll solve for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I always went, no, I'm a bowler. My old man was like, no, work on your batting, and I didn't listen to him, and I kind of wish I did.
I'm a bowling. I want to say it. I'm a bowling all rounder, but I'm not. I'm a bowler who just love to make runs. Yes. Yep. Oh, there you go. That hurt saying that. I wanted to be a bowling all-rounder because I didn't have the guts to say I'm an all-rounder. But I now have a bit more patience, tiny bit more. And I can see something through. It's such a good feeling making runs. But at the same time, it's such a horrible game where you can nearly ruin a whole month by a lapse in concentration.
Well, that's the thing too. Now, like when you realise if you especially if you're playing 2-day cricket, like you play weekend to weekend, you know, you team bowls the other team out reasonably cheaply, and you're batting down the order a bit, and then you're not required that one.
Yeah.
And then so you might only get a bat once a month.
Yep.
And and then it can be out. It can be all done so quickly.
I still have anxiety dreams about either waiting to go into bat or the clouds coming in and raining the game off. It's the cricket version of dick in me hand.
Oh, mate. That is.
know?
Yeah, that's a little too visceral right now. Now, actually, speaking of cricket, this episode, I believe, if I stick to the current schedule, will be coming out on Boxing Day.
Oh,
so
what a treat for you all. Full of stuffing, and you get to listen to this.
Yeah. So how does Christmas Boxing Day look in the Dwyer household? Like, how do you celebrate the birth of our saviour, mate?
Yeah, look, we're going to be in the UK this year. So,
Really?
yeah, Christmas Day is at my brother-in-law's.
So your wife is
Yep,
from
she's
the
a
UK.
Pom, Coventry, so hard as nails. I had to learn how to fight. Brother-in-law's super, just really lucky to have a great relationship with the whole lot of them. It's great. And Boo's parents remarried, so both branches of the family, awesome. My father-in-law is also an ultra runner, so we'll be going out for a few runs in the cold.
Because that's your thing. We haven't really covered. You're a mad runner.
Can go for a big guy. Oh, not a big guy. Like I've got a gut on me, right? But surprisingly quick.
You're not the stereotypical tall, rakey, long-legged, sort of guy that just runs and you see and they go, hey, he looks like a runner.
I'm undercover. I'm like the guy ASIO sends to it's quadruple bluff. Surely not. Yeah. Did he get the package back in time? No, it's that guy.
You're the guy that people get the shits when they overtake. You overtake them at the park run. What the heck? That bloke?
Not on my watch, and you should see him blow up. It's great because I take great pride in that, like pulling up beside someone and then pushing out of a turn or up a climb, watch them pull up to me again, and then just slowly.
Like, there's rumours going around the Adelaide park runs that, mate, there's this guy that turns up in a fat suit every week. He's clearly not.
Like, he's got this dead rat stapled to his head. You can't miss him. He's got a bit of regrowth. It's blue, it's green, it's murky. He's angry. He's running from his past. It's like...
So what is it with running? Why running? Are you running from your past?
No, it's a transportable sport.
Yep.
It's great for my mental health. That's a way of shutting something down. It's good for mental health. All right, mate. No further questions.
Right.
No, but I
mental
find
very important.
I'll go into long periods of flow. I'll just go in there, and it's where I can kind of unwind, do some of my good thinking, process, all that kind of gear, and then the associated good feels from that.
Are you a headphones in runner? Like, do you run with music or podcasts or what? Are you listening to anything, or are you just...
I would frown on people with big headphones on where you can't hear because it's dangerous for everyone, including yourself.
Yep.
I've got these bone conducting ones now.
Ooh,
oh, mate, they're a game changer. Like, yeah, so you can still hear the birds, you can hear your feet, you can hear the traffic, you can hear the pervert coming behind you,
Hard to distinguish the voices in your head from the voices that are getting pumped into your head, though.
It's busy, it's few in, So you've got an underscore, and you pick the right tunes, you get your playlist happening, and it's just creeping underneath everything. It's stunning. Yeah,
I've never understood people that can run without any, like, music or podcasts or whatever.
Well, trail running, you're out in the bush. There's an argument. You can hear the change of, the noise underfoot as the terrain changes, or you hear the birds. We did that great run on the coast. You can hear the waves crashing.
So it's different when you're running with someone. That was a fun run, to coin a phrase.
Not at the 16K mark. I saw your face.
you just filming us.
I was like, hey, go nah. And I'm waving you through like a jerk. Go, nah, come forward.
Look at the stride. Look at the stride.
Stay upright. We'll edit out my voice.
Mate, it was no, but that was fun. That was one of those ones. Yeah, at the 16K mark, it was like, okay,
Well, I gotta get this done.
because I was a week out of having COVID too,
Yeah,
which
that's
I
all
hadn't
right.
really considered that it would have had any impact on me. But those,
First 3K,
oh mate, we would, a lot of hills,
slow drag.
blowing a lot of COVID out of the old lungs.
Probably changed your life, mate. You
Mate,
know?
It was good, but it was good. It was one of those ones where you look back and go, glad I did it. Like I always, whenever I go for a run, I'll be leaving and my wife says to me, Nat will go, oh, enjoy your run. And I'm like, I won't. I'll enjoy having done my run.
Well, yeah. What can you do to fix that?
Well,
You know,
to be honest, I do enjoy, like, it's only the first bit that I don't enjoy, where it's all still ahead of me and I'm not in the rhythm yet.
yeah.
And you're not in that zone where you've settled into your run, so you're trying to find it, you're trying to push it, all your muscles are still, like, even if you've stretched, you're still, if there's any little niggles or whatever, you can feel them. They're not getting the blood they need yet. So that first bit I'll often not enjoy, but then knowing now that that's and once you hit sort of the K and a half mark and knowing where I'm going routine and stuff, and then I'm at the moment too, where I've been regularly running, I've finished down at the river near my place.
Oh,
And it is like, it's just a nice spot to stop. And there's always a couple of guys fishing on the dock or whatever down there. And so being the bloke that
postcard
just,
stuff.
being the bloke that pulls up in the sweat stained shirt, going, checking his watch, and they look and go, oh mate,
36K.
yeah.
36.
Yeah, they've got no idea. And it always looks like I've come a lot further than I have because of how hard I'm blowing. But it's I get what you mean by in terms of like just clearing the head.
Oh, mate, and it's because I grew up playing team sport. Love my cricket, love my footy. Need something to pass the time. And I was saying the other day, you're with this job, so I'm 30 today's run. Will be 35 days on the trot. So I'm just trying to make that a permanent habit, and there's something I can control in the recovery and and just the conditioning, all the stuff, all the little 1%ers I can do to make sure I can turn out every day and hit out a run.
Is this another thing? Because you're sober.
Mm-hmm.
You often hear about people like replacing one addiction with another obsession. Do you reckon there's an element of that, or do you reckon it's just
I'm doing
putting that energy into a good place rather than
definitely that? But I'm what worked for me getting off the booze. Everyone's different. People go, did you go to meetings? I went to a few, and then I go to meetings to help support mates and just to stay abreast of everyone else's struggles and just know that okay, you have come a long way. But I just got a week, fortnight, and then just that was the pride, just making sure that and then you keep that streak going. So I thought, okay, I did really well with that. I'm coming to 10 years now off the booze. I don't even think about it anymore. It's like, okay, it's just a thing. It's not part of you. So with that same kind of mentality, I want to go, okay, well, what else do you love doing? I'll see if you can make running every day a part of your mentality as well.
That's really it's a good putting that energy towards the positive place and just going, well, this worked once for one positive thing. Let's see if we can do it again.
And take pride in making it happen each day. It's a priority and it's a gift to yourself.
Well, based on that, we are at about time because we are going to try and squeeze in a cheeky little run.
Oh, yes.
So hopefully we're going to squeeze it in before we have to go to tonight's gig. But thanks very much for doing this.
Mate.
Before we go, give your socials and everything a plug.
Yes, please. Get along. Give me a follow. Adventure Mick on Instagram. Everything I'm running through there. Adventure Mick Instagram.
Adventure Mick.
Should I have looked down the barrel then? Was I doing the right thing?
Yeah, no.
Should I have just done it to you? Can we go to Adventure?
No. Straight down the barrel. For the 8 people that watch this on YouTube, as opposed to the people that download it. But yes, it is. You are a good follow because that sense of fun does bleed through in your social.
Yeah, a bit of
context, which I
fun,
enjoy.
some training tips, some whinging, live whinging, all the stuff there, stuff that makes me laugh. I hope it makes you laugh.
Yeah, nice. Well, yeah, give Mick a follow. Thanks very much for doing this.
Mate, let's go for a run.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah.